Okay, hi. This is our case study 2 group. We are doing academic preparedness and degree completion at West Tisbury State University. My name is Annika. We have Malikah, Joe, and also Shanice. Okay, so the higher education environment, cultures, and students issues. So this is just, we were discussing West Tisbury State, which is a public and regional institution comprehensive with 2 campuses. So the traditional residential campus is in a rural community with about 15,000 students. Their issue is that graduation rates are decreasing. It's a predominantly white institution with first generation low income students. So 35% of the students who are currently enrolled are eligible for the Pell Grant. There's 86 undergraduate programs and 47 graduate programs, 17 to 1 student to faculty ratio, which is extremely low. The significant departments that create interest are the study abroad and international studies, the honors program, and then also the Center for the Study of Men's Development. So the theory I chose to go with this part of the case study was the William Barrett social class model, and he suggests how we classify students makes a difference in how we interact with them. So based on it, this series is based on social privilege and economic resources, which go off of capital. So economic capital, cultural capital, social capital, and academic capital.
You're muted.
Yes, sorry. So I focus on the developmental issues. The business, agriculture, the criminal justice, and engineering programs are predominantly male. Over 45% of the incoming freshmen have tested into the developmental mathematics course. And this issue, this is the issue because this course essentially is a review of high school algebra, and it's not taken as a college credit. So at that point, they're just taking a class that doesn't even count towards graduation. The lack of academic preparedness by incoming students. This has made the graduation rate suffer and decline due to this. Students who work full-time to support themselves and or in some instance their family, who going to school full-time may have difficulties managing and prioritizing their time. And that's typically like first-generation students or low-income students. First-generation low-income students are more likely to miss financial aid deadlines and scholarships. And they also may not want to join like sororities and fraternities, which make it hard for them to get a feel for the campus. And that, as one of the theories also said, like no involvement leads to like a lower chance of graduating and like staying engaged in the school. With the numbers and population it served, it makes it hard for the school to increase elist attitudes amongst the university. So like with it being first generation students, they can't in the case study they were mentioning how they wanted like a 32 ACT and a like a high 3 point something GPA. They can't really afford to do that when dealing with low income and first generation students. The two theories I decided to choose were the Ernest Pasquarella general model for assessing change. And they suggest that the growth is a function of the direct or indirect of the 5 major variables. Those variables are student background, pre-college traits, structural and organizational characteristics, institutional environments, interacts with agents or socialization, quality of student effort and application. And the second theory I decided to choose was Sanford sociological, I mean, wait, psychology, no.
Psychosocial.
Yeah, so I'm like, it's so many, okay, psychosocial development model. Sanford examines 3 of the development conditions: readiness, challenge, and support. And readiness is the mature and preparedness that brings a student to experience. And the challenge is the second condition and is a necessary component in helping students guide their own way through development. And support, it requires an environment that is conducive to students' explorations of his or her own identity in a safety and encouraging way.
So the leadership component of this case study exists in a task force to identify solutions to problems with academic preparedness and degree completion. The president appointed Sona Mare Shalnil La Priyatana Gul to find these solutions, who in turn asked Kirk Relaford and Meredith Collier Allen for assistance in that matter. The theory I found most applicable to the leadership component was also Pasquarello's general model for assessing change, which describes a general causal model that includes more explicit consideration for both an institution's structural characteristics, including the academic development of students, and its general environment.
Okay, and some ethical issues that I came across when reading this case study was one of the statements said, one of the professors said, I am an expert in my field and I only want to teach the best and brightest students in the country. Why should I be bothered with teaching students with B and C averages? This elitist view of FGLI students, it kind of creates an imposter syndrome in students like Rebecca Fields, as stated in the case study, where she says, I'm one of those students he's talking about. I'm one of those students that did not have the ACT score, and I don't have the prior knowledge before coming to college to get myself ahead of the game. So you're pretty much like that professor is saying, a student like me would not be successful in this environment. And that right there just kind of, it gives a feeling of inadequacy. Like no matter what I'm going to do here, I'm never going to be as good as anybody that has any prior knowledge of higher education. Something else that I came across was the alcohol consumption they mentioned for students who are over the age of 21. I say this is an issue because alcohol is going to be something that's going to be present on every college campus, whether it's a dry campus, whether it's a Christian campus, no matter what, it's going to find its way onto a college campus. So I just feel as though this issue that they pointed out is probably not an issue per se in this situation. As far as having FGLI students graduate and the retention rates that are happening at the school. So those are just some issues that I came across when reading the case studies, and I'm just going to pass it on to Annika.
So some diversity issues that I came across, their majors are mainly male focused. So the male to female ratio is 54% to 46%, which isn't really a lot compared to a lot of universities. So the most majors that they have are the most male majors that they have are business, agriculture, criminal justice, and engineering programs. So this is a problem because those stated in the article are their biggest majors and they're also only male focused. And that's not to say that females aren't enrolled, but it's definitely a higher male ratio than it is female. The enrollment profile was based off ethnicity. So like I said before, it's a PWI with 86.1% white, 4.2% African-American, 3.1% Asian, 1.1% Latino, 0.1 Pacific Islander, 3.1 who are two or more ethnicities, and then 2.2 who are international students. So approximately 35% of the students out of the 15,000 that are currently enrolled are eligible for the Pell Grant, which is financial aid assistance. And these students are also classified as first generation low income.
As mentioned before, in some of the slides, the other issues were the limited family support and collegiate preparatory curricular opportunities for the first generation students when in high school, the negative faculty attitudes towards the teaching of the first generation students, and the alcohol consumption. And the theory that I felt went best with like all of these were the Chickering theory of identity and development. And its freedom allowed for all individuals to measure their own development in a unique and personal way. The first vector was develop, and the two that I felt like went, out of all the vectors, I feel like two of them went with this, and it was the first vector, which was development interpersonal competence, consists of learning how to communicate effectively with others while discovering appropriate social behaviors needed to be successful to build and maintain a relationship. And the third vector was moving through autonomy towards interdependence, focuses on the individual moving away from the codependence towards independence, eventually gaining an understanding in one place in relations to the larger community.
The most applicable theory I found when it comes to solving this issue comes not into the actual theory, but in what is described as a superstructure called the dynamic student development metatheodal. Just like the solution to this issue is multifaceted and complex, the superstructure describes the overarching themes of how students can succeed in a wide variety of areas. Student development is crucial to not just academic development, but academic success and retention. If students fail to receive adequate support, retention and academic success will continue to drop or plateau to a low mark.
So what would we do about these situations? So some of the things that we had talked about were offer a dual credit mathematics course. It could be more cost efficient for the students for not having to take that extra course whenever they first come in that doesn't really count for anything. And then it also helps students complete their requirement earlier. Another thing that we would do is raise high school graduation requirements, which increases preparedness. So it also talks about that mathematics course and them not actually being able to take it in their high school. So making that course available at high schools in the area or even in the surrounding areas would be helpful for the students to be prepared whenever they're coming in. We could also integrate orientation for first generation low income families. Since a lot of their families aren't able to help them financially, it might be helpful for them to just be involved with their student and feel like they're being a part of their life while they're in college. Something else that we could do is offer honor sections for only certain faculty to limit the professors who only want to teach the best of the best. So if they want to teach those honors courses, they can. Something else that we can do is encourage student involvement, which is something that I feel like you can pretty much do in any situation to get the students out of the residence halls and engaging with other students that are on campus, maybe that they know or that they don't know, but will become friends with. And then offer training to faculty on learning styles. So every student learns differently, and professors and faculty and staff can never stop learning about how to teach, engage, and best equip their students for success. Okay, so that was our presentation. Thank you so much.